People deluded. Now, I don't know what's wrong with me, but I can't stop making videos, and I had no idea what I'm actually doing at this moment. I had no idea that I was going to be making this video. I had no intention of making this video, but obviously, to give you a little bit of context, I just ran up the stairs, so I'm trying to catch my breath. But Premier League football is about midweek. Premier League football this Tuesday is about to go down, but while obviously I've got home and stuff, like you lot, I love my football club, so I sit here pondering what can we do in the summer, what this and that and the third. And sorry people, one sec, because before I reveal what's actually was in my hand, I've got to add one name. Yeah, people, I'm back. Sorry for that. Basically, I was sat here, I was thinking, all right, next season, what are we going to do? We know there's a lot to be done in terms of possible incomings and outgoings. What would I do? What would I want to see, sort of thing? Do you see what I'm saying, people? So I just humoured myself. So I thought I'd humour you guys. Obviously, I'm just a football fan. What I'm saying isn't going to happen, but I don't know our transfer budget. I'm just working on around 50 to 60 million, people. But in front of me, please, obviously my handwriting's terrible, people. I was basically just sat here. I was like, what? I've seen Julian. Let me just hold it in my hand. You've seen it now. I've seen that Julian Brandt's release clause is what, 24 million. Yeah, people. And I do think there's a case for two wingers, but I've got it written down some ways that if we was to sign two wingers, what does that mean for my young G's that I really love in this side, the likes of Xavier Amici, Javier Amici, Saka, Emil Smith-Rowe on loan, Nelson who's on loan. What does that mean for all of them? Which you'd be inclined to believe that maybe Mkhitaryan be moved on, but Mkhitaryan's been okay within the last few games. I think Mkhitaryan's on big money, similar to Ozil, so them two's positions are probably under threat, if not now, within the next 18 months. But Mkhitaryan, as much as you can point to his wages, myself included, and think, yeah, them wages there could be slapped somewhere else. He's been in decent form, and there's people I'd like to move on before that. But why Mkhitaryan be the odd one out is because I'd want to keep a clear pathway for Nelson on the flanks and Saka on the flanks either side. Iwobi's playing football at the moment. I want to keep Iwobi. Iwobi won't be sold, and he is homegrown. Mkhitaryan's coming to the end of his career soon, so he'd probably be the odd one out. So we only need one winger. I feel Julian Brandt, I've made a video about it, but the fact that his release clause allegedly is 24 million, he's probably already signed his Bayern Munich contract as we speak, but that's seriously something not just us, but a couple of clubs got to consider. In today's day and age, you don't see that. That's almost risk-free. Of course, if he was to sign for Arsenal and fail and flop and not score goals and do all that stuff on the flanks or in the 10 position, he'd be called a flop, but that's almost risk-free. Arsenal, we can't be silly with transfers, and to be honest, that might as well be 240 million, to be fair, in Arsenal's case, allegedly. But that's almost risk-free when you look at some more expensive players that divide opinion, and some that play in defence that's quite frankly haven't delivered. Arsenal could do a lot worse. So I believe his release clause and the sort of player, that's one little thing Arsenal, for me, we can't afford to ignore. So that's what I'd be looking at doing in the summer. Calvin Steggs as well. I can't say his name. I can never say it. Calvin of AZ Alkmaar. I believe he's got a lot of potential. He's incredibly raw. I mean, he's only scored 2-3 goals this season, and the same goes for assists. So I think he's got something like 3 goals and 2 assists in I'm not sure, probably 16, 17 appearances. I have no clue. A handful of appearances. So he's not there. He's not the winger we need in terms of 10 goals, 10 assists, but he's got the potential to be. And Arsenal, we can't go after players when they're established to a degree, because we can't afford to get into bidding wars. So I believe you've got to look at the likes of, it's a bit different, but people were a bit divided on Salah before Liverpool took a risk. Mane, when he was at Southampton, people were scared to take a risk. A bit different in their careers, and there's other young players that people haven't taken a chance on, and it served them well. We've probably got to go for players, young players that have potential to get to that next level, but are not there yet, because when they're quite there, we can't afford, at least what the fans are being told, to get in a bidding war with that. So we need to probably change our tactics, and I believe he's got scope to grow in that department and be a real good player. He's very similar to Sane. He's got what we need. It's just about bringing him in and holding them talents. From whatever you see online, the rumours tend to be 10 to 15 million. I've factored in 15 million, so that would take us to around 39 if my math serves me correctly. If not, make fun of me. And obviously I've put in brackets additional charges, because transfers are not just as black and white as I give you X, you give me Y sort of thing. It's way too complex for someone like me to pen drop to even begin to explain to you guys in the slightest, to be fair. 1 second, people. Spoiling the vid. So yeah, man, I believe between Steggs' potential and the opportunity with Brandt, that's that. Now where it gets a bit difficult because I would like to bring in Fran Bertrand of Celta Vigo, at least monitor him for the next 18 months. I've not put a price tag on him. He's someone I'd like to bring in. I feel it's going to surprise people, but Roddy I believe he plays for Schalke now, formerly of Bayern Munich, for squad depth purposes, he can play at right back and he could play in central midfield, a couple of positions, in terms of shutting out games, in terms of the squad, in terms of actually not signing another right back to not block the pathway of someone like Osei Tutu potentially. And he could be cut price. That could be a very, shrewd addition, a very penny pinching sort of sell. But again, there's things that need to be done at Arsenal, pardon me. The big one is the centre-half people, and I would like to bring in Darlow of Dortmund. I feel he's incredibly raw. He gets caught high up the field. He gets caught in possession. Sometimes from corners, he's unaware of men. He's very raw, but he's a very decent centre-half in my opinion. If we can just iron out them things, concentration, it's easy to see why Mislintat was trying to chase him when he was at Mainz and them things there, or whatever club he was at before. I didn't know about him until obviously Mislintat rumours started. But he looks a good centre-half. He can play on the left side. I believe he, if I remember correctly, he is left-footed, so that's a big elephant in the room at Arsenal. You're looking at someone who can play on the left side for to aid soccer artists and stuff like that. And I think Diallo's got space to grow into a player. I don't think he's anywhere near what he could be. I'm not here to say he's world class, but there's that. If not him, I'd like to bring in, of course, I'd like Upamecano and all of them sick French centre-halves. But I do think Canute of Leipzig, we should try and exploit any possible positive relationship we have with them, with obviously Emil Smith-Rowe going on loan there. Canute's 19. I mean, we all know about him. Watched him obviously again this season, as you all do. And I like what I see. Very good defender, very composed, can handle pressure. Obviously, still young and he does naive stuff. Strikers that are a bit more street smart are able to con him into giving him fouls. And at times, sloppy passes, even though he is very good at distributing, in my opinion. But he's a good player. You're looking at probably anything from 20 to 40. So how feasible is it really that Arsenal can really pull off a madness in this? And this is before me even talking about, I've put in my own brackets. I don't know if you look and see people, but it's like, these are just, essentially, this is just my thoughts. Again, these are just my thoughts, and apologies for my poor handwriting, but centre midfield. Now, there's an issue for me in terms of creativity centrally, just in the whole midfield. I feel we're underselling ourselves, generally, away from the whole Mesut Ozil and things. I feel some of it's to do with coaching, but possibly personnel. I would love someone that can dictate. I know Xhaka and Guendouzi, they can all play football and play passes, and they're welcome within the side, and I'm not saying to replace them. I just feel if we can find someone that can dictate play from deep, someone that tries to really put their influence on games, try and dictate a game, try and everything running through them sort of thing, similar to, again, Jorginho's not in the best run of form, but Jorginho at Napoli sort of thing, obviously he had people around him, but get that sort of thing, or if not slightly that, someone that's able to get the ball from deep, drive forward and provoke situations like that. So it's a deep lying, could we sign a deep liar, a box-to-box midfielder, actually another defensive mid, or a hybrid of probably a box-to-box / ball-winning midfielder similar to Torreira. Obviously, we know we need to sign a left-back. We're pushed. Monreal's actually turned 33 today. Happy birthday, mate. Can use him for another season at least, and that's maybe the club's thinking, so we can invest in other areas. Kohler divides opinion. I say divides opinion, but we can all see going forward, he's one of the best centre-halves. He's one of the best left-backs in the league. Defensively, he's probably up there for top 5 worst. He lets us down, and some of that's actually to do with the system, because the manager is telling him to cut there. But he has no defensive instincts, and to a degree, that's what he's about, innit? So we need probably someone that's a bit more switched on defensively. Kohler is decent for me. If he can improve defensively, he could be our first choice. But for me, I'd like to go for someone and Kohler be our second, or Kohler sort of fight it out. Of course, with that being said, you're looking at a big fee as well. I would like scouts to do their job. It's easy for me to do that, but you got to be fullbacks, man. You must confine a left-footed Sagna or something out there. Something must be done, Arsenal. You can find something in it. So there's obviously that. There's a lot of things that possibly need to be done. In terms of, obviously, I've said right back, left back, and centre half. Possibly investing in other areas. Right back can be kept open for, like I said, Osei Tutu. Central midfield, Ramsey's obviously departing the club. Joe Willock, could he step into that and play some football? El Nene probably might depart in the summer. I say probably because I don't think he'd go at his own accord. But in terms of raising money to invest in other areas, in terms of if he looks at it and he's not really featured of significance this season and he wants to go and play football, spots open up, people. So if Ramsey's nailed on to leave, or Nene's leaving in this scenario, that's 2 spots gone. You'd think naturally Joe Willock, if he wasn't already, which I believe he will, promoted into the first team. So the club could be looking at it, okay, cool, we've got another body in this area, that area, let's invest more in this area, because this is how they're looking at it, to be honest, people. And obviously looking at Stegs as well, one thing that could go in our favour is that obviously we've worked with Ranyola, with Daniel Marlon, and we've worked with him with Mkhitaryan and any other players I'm not aware of. But could we exploit that positive relationship as well? Because Ajax allegedly want him. When he gets to Ajax, it's all over essentially, because if he develops well, you're probably looking at 40-50 million, and that can be done. Arsenal can find the funds for that, or structure payments for that. Don't get confused, people. The issue becomes when it becomes a bidding war with other clubs, and you'd like to think the player would pick us, but I'm not saying he's motivated by money, but if we're saying we'll pay 45, and then Man City, for example, not saying they will, say they'll give you 70, you're not going to entertain Arsenal, to which would be too late, wouldn't it, people? No matter how much he might necessarily want to sign for the club or not. So these sort of things, we've got to take risks. Obviously, you're looking at a bunch of players that are going to depart the club on a free. Before I say that, Mesut Ozil, his future is another story in itself, and I've made vids on that. The likes of Cech, Welbeck, Lichtstein, or Aaron Ramsey are departing on loan. Are departing on free transfers. So while we're not getting money for that, it's freeing up wages. Ospina, while it's not confirmed, it looks to be joining Napoli on a permanent based on what their managers said. It's peanuts essentially compared to these lot, but if you look at some of the young players on paper, it looks like Charlie Gilmore. I hope they give him a new deal, and Vontae Daly-Campbell, just on the basis of I'm seeing hella other players on Arsenal.com announcing they're signing new deals, like even this week, congratulations to Matt Smith, but not seeing anything on the website in regards to their future. So again, I don't know any of people connected to the club or connected to them individuals, but just as a fan, if I'm seeing other people announce they're signing deals, I'm seeing your contract running out, it's February, soon touch March, and I'm not seeing the same picture in the same article with these players, then you read between the lines a bit. Obviously, I hope talks are going on in the background, but yeah, you look at a couple of the young players, they'll probably free up funds. The likes of Mustafi, probably, people, again, I'd say at a push, because Arsenal don't know really how to get top deals in terms of outgoings anymore, but you're probably looking at the best 15 to 20, and I wouldn't pay that for Mustafi, but ideally you would hope that people that deal with negotiations at this club or deal with this sort of commercial thing earn their keep. 15 to 20 million, you're probably realistically looking at it. For me, if I was a club prospectively in the Bundesliga or elsewhere, possibly in Italy, wanting Mustafi, I'd lowball Arsenal and go in with a 10-15 million pound bid, might play 20, go in probably, and what I think will happen is it would end up being a loan with an option to buy. Of course, I hope I'm wrong, and I actually hope I'm double wrong and Mustafi turns into this great centre-half soon, but he's on big wages and he's at the prime of his career in terms of his age. He should be the best centre-half at Arsenal, for real with ourselves, and arguably he's the worst. Like Martin Keown said, it not to be personal, but he's better in the opposition's box than us. And to be fair to Mustafi, he has had spells of good form and stuff, but if we keep it 100, he just hasn't cut the mustard. So his is going to be a difficult outgoing. Like I said, Ozil's is another thing in itself. The money, the politics, the whatever reason, I don't want to get into it. But either way, it's a tough summer. So I've sat here and I've kind of thought about, I don't even know what I'm thinking about, just my thoughts in regards to what I would try and do in the summer, or just my general thoughts. And I thought, let me just make a vid about this, because I do think in my Q&A coming up this Friday, someone asked me a similar question, and 2 birds with 1 stone sort of stuff. I know some of you lot like my vids because I get a decent amount of views and a lot of love, man. But I got nothing more to say, man. It's time to watch the Premier League. I think I started this at 7:30, so I think I'm actually running it very close and on time like clockwork, and probably got an extra minute to spare when kickoff comes on at 2:15. But for now, anyways, people, deluded, thank you very much. I really need to stop making vids because, yeah, man, I need this. It's important to take a break and recharge yourself. But I'll be back again on Wednesday. Well, Arsenal versus Bournemouth, if I haven't brought this video out already. But yeah, people, deluded. I'm rambling. I'm out.